That's fucked.
Oh, God. What's going on, guys? It is Will here, back again, once again, for week 14 of the Gridiron Talk podcast. Obviously, I'm here with my man Shane. Shane, the Rocket Rider. At the end of the show, or not the end of the show, at the end of the season, we will reveal why he's called the Rider Rocket, right, Shane?
Sure. We'll release it to the audience.
So, how you been, Shane? You been good?
Yeah, just yeah, doing well. How about you, Will?
Well, I'm alive.
Damn. Okay.
But so for this week's episode, we got a lot of news to talk about, a lot of injuries. Me and Shane have realized that we say oh, this player's playing, and they don't end up playing, so it's like, well, what the hell? Like, it's kind of like pisses us off because we're like, yeah, Kyler Murray's playing, then game time decision, he doesn't play, so we look like baboons. So we're gonna try to get a little bit better at that. So we got a bunch of news on here, and we're gonna go into the games like we do every week. Um, and yeah, this is going to be the last episode that Shane will be here and with us in New York. He's moving to Florida on Tuesday to pursue his dream of being a professional football player. So shout out to you, Shane. Good luck. And next week's episode might be a little bit different because Shane will be in Florida. I mean, we might try a face cam. Let us know how you guys want to think about that, how you would feel about that. Just like, let us know in the comments or whatever. But with all that being said, let's get right into it. We got a lot of news to talk about. Let's just stop with bullshit and get into the episode. Now, after I tell you all this news, Shane, you can just give me your thoughts real quick on what you think about it. So the first one is, this is a rumor. Supposedly Russ says this is not true, but you never know. That Russ would strongly like to play for the New York Giants, the Denver Broncos, or the New Orleans Saints. What are your thoughts on that? Russell Wilson potentially playing for the Giants, Broncos, or the Saints?
No shade to your Giants, but I don't think he's in any better of a situation if he went to the Giants. I think he would fit the Broncos perfectly. They've got a young crew. Russell Wilson, he's still, a little young, but he's also considered a veteran, so he can help out that young offensive crew. And then the Saints have many weapons, so I think he'd be a perfect fit for them. And they got a fantastic defense. So those are my thoughts on it.
I think the Russell Wilson thing, this happens every year, so I kind of taking it with a grain of salt because, it's always a rumor that he's going to get traded when he doesn't, so it's like, whatever. I'm just kind of ignore it now, low-key. Texans cut linebacker Zach Cunningham, who led the league in tackles last year, and he just was recently claimed off the waivers by the Titans, and that's a good ad for them to beef up their defense going into a playoff run. Seahawks strong safety Jamal Adams is out for the season with a torn labrum. Ravens cornerback Marlon Humphrey is out for the season with a torn pectoral muscle, and they just had the injury bug this year. The Ravens have been getting hit with injuries all year long, and it just sucks. More injuries. Washington's tight end Logan Thomas is out for the season after an ACL and an MCL tear, which sucks because he is a great player. Jets wide receiver and free agent acquisition Corey Davis is out for the season with an abdominal issue. More injuries. This is an injury. This is a COVID list. Chargers placed wide receivers Keenan Allen, Mike Williams on the COVID list, as well as cornerback Chris Harris Jr. They are all vaccinated and they are all questionable to the game for the Giants. That's crazy, though. Don't you think that 3 players on the Chargers and 3 of their better players have COVID? Don't you think that's crazy?
Yeah, that's like that's insane. Those are 3 Pro Bowl type players that are just out. So hopefully they come back. The Chargers are gonna need them.
Justin Fields returns this week from injury against the Green Bay Packers. Vikings wide receiver is going to miss this game today against the Pittsburgh Steelers with an ankle sprain. And Dalvin Cook is supposedly going to play this game on short rest or short injury return, whatever. Saints defensive end Cameron Jordan is also on the COVID list. He is vaccinated. He is questionable to play against the Jets. Saints wide receiver Deontay Harris suspended 3 games due to getting a DUI. And honestly, I'm glad they're doing this because they don't want something to happen with Henry Ruggs again. Even if that didn't happen, it's never good to drive under the influence. So I think the league is now cracking down. I think they're going to make more punishment for getting a DWI or DUI or whatever, regardless. Saints running back Alvin Kamara is due to return this week after dealing with a lingering knee issue. And lastly, this is the one that Shane's been waiting for. Giants quarterbacks Daniel Jones and Mike Glennon are both questionable. Daniel Jones, I think, has like a herniated disc in his neck. I guess he sprained his neck against the Buccaneers and made it worse against the Eagles. So he has a neck issue. Mike Glennon is in concussion protocol. So who was the third string quarterback for the Giants, Shane? Jake Fromm.
My boy Jake. Listen, I just want to run through his because a lot of people may not know who Jake Fromm is. He played all 3 years at Georgia. He was a true freshman at Georgia. He was picked in the 5th round, 167th pick by the Buffalo Bills. Obviously, they weren't going to use him because they have Josh Allen. But in 43 games, I believe, he had 78 touchdowns, only 18 interceptions, and over 8,000 passing yards. And he won 2 bowls, or I think he won 1 bowl and appeared in a in the national title game, and then he also appeared in another bowl, which Georgia lost. But Jake Fromm is a very underrated QB. He just got picked by a team that has an MVP candidate QB. And I honestly think if he balls out, he can sign to any team and start, in my opinion. But, well, not any team, but any team that needs a quarterback. But I hope he plays. I can't wait to see what he does. Because this will be his first start. So
I hope he does too, because it can't get worse than Mike Longneck Glennon. All right, I don't want him to be the Giants quarterback anymore. I want to see the young buck out there. So that's all the news. I know we had a lot of news. We usually don't have this much news, but we did have a lot of news for this episode. So let's get to the game. Oh, also, before I forget, shout out my boy Joey, who he did the thumbnails for us. This week we got George Kittle and Bits. Love George Kittle. Kyler Murray, K1. Love you. And I don't even want to say it, but I put a Pittsburgh Steeler on the thumbnail. Team is still dog shit, all right. But I told Shane my philosophy is the top 3 fantasy performers. That's how it is. I mean, it could be 3 Patriots players or I don't even know, Trace McSorley, and I would put him on there. That's my philosophy. And unfortunately, I also don't put the same player twice. And Justin Jefferson had a great game, but, he got the pass. So, Deontay Johnson is on the thumbnail. Now, if I see any single Steelers fan saying anything stupid about Deontay Johnson, I will message my friend and tell him to take him off the thumbnail and make a new one. So, Steelers fans, this is your one warning. All right? He's on the thumbnail. Now, don't get it twisted, all right? Big Ben ain't going on that thumbnail. Chase Claypool ain't going on the thumbnail. All right, maybe Najee Harris, but this is it, man. All right. So speaking of the Steelers, they're playing tonight. The Steelers are 6-5-1. They're going against the Minnesota Vikings, who are 5-7, and the Vikings are 3.5-point favorites. So Dalvin Cook is returning on short notice. He missed last week's game against the Lions with a shoulder injury, and they lost, which was crazy. It's cool that the Lions won after that school shooting that happened in Michigan. I thought that was really heartwarming that Jared Goff and Dan Campbell dedicated that win, but we'll get to that later when we talk about the Lions. So the Vikings are trying to stay alive in a very tight NFC West wildcard race. They are 1 game back on Washington, who are 6-6. And the Steelers are also in the AFC playoff race, probably by a game.
they're
7-5.
They're the first team outside of the 7th seed by whatever you want to call it.
Half the game, I guess.
Yeah.
So, and the Steelers have to start winning some games, and they got a very tough schedule ahead. And it's not really looking too hot. They snuck away with a victory against Baltimore. Good. And Deontay Johnson, I will say, he played really well. I think when Big Ben retires and they have a young quarterback that is a lot more consistent than Big Ben and a lot better than Big Ben, I think that he'll be a star with Deontay Johnson, their new young quarterback. So, Shane, what are your thoughts on this game between the Steelers and the Vikings?
I think
Thursday night primetime.
See, me and one of my coworkers were talking earlier about this game. I think it's going to be a close game. I think the Steelers, they're playing a lot better. If you look at Ben and his statistics, he's playing a lot more consistent. Now, obviously, it's not Big Ben from 10 years ago, obviously, since he's older and less mobile.
Well, Steelers fans think he is, but continue.
Yeah, but, Steelers fans don't matter, just like Bills fans don't matter.
Yeah.
I think we'll get to that later. But I think it's going to be a close game. I still think with Dalvin Cook returning, it's whether how many carries they give him, how many times he touches the ball. I still think it's going to be a game changer because he's just one big cut away from breaking it free for a touchdown. So I think the Vikings win this game 2017.
I meet you. I think the Vikings are also going to win. Same score, 20-17. I think it'll be a low-scoring game. Pittsburgh defense is legit. I know we don't really talk about them a lot, but they do have a good defense. And the Vikings, their defense is also very kind of I feel like it has potential to be good, but they really haven't lived up to the expectations. Their defense has kind of sold them sometimes, like they did last week. So I got the Vikings win this game as well, 20-17.
All right, and with that, we move on to our next game. We have the Falcons versus the Panthers. Both of them have a 5-7 record, and the Falcons are 2.5-point favorites.
Panthers.
The Panthers are?
Yeah.
Damn. Okay. With new offensive coordinator, the Panthers will hopefully be running the ball a little bit more. They want to run the ball more. Both of these teams need a win to stay in the hunt for the wild card. With the Buccaneers being their division, they're obviously not going to get the division title. What are your thoughts on this
division
game, Will?
It's Mickey Mouse division. The Buccaneers are Mickey Mouse division champion. They're getting handed the title by the NFL. And all I'm saying is if Cam Newton signed with them at the start of the season, the Panthers would be 10-5 right, or 10-0 right now. All right, they'd be undefeated. I'm messing with you. I'm messing with you. But all I'm saying is when the Panthers play the Buccaneers, they gotta watch out for that wheel route. You know what I'm saying? Watch out for that wheel route. It's that wheel route. Ready? Remember Cam Newton did that? Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. I know Shane's scared of Cam Newton, guys. I know he doesn't want to admit it, but like he literally told us that he said when the Buccaneers play the Panthers, he's scared that Cam Newton's gonna juke the hell out of Devin White. Facts. Yeah. Shane?
Yeah, on.
All right, but regardless, back to this game, the Falcons and the Panthers, both teams are surprisingly still in it, which is kind of crazy because it seems like they're not, but they are. And this is gonna be the Panthers' first full game without Christian McCaffrey, and Chuba Hubbard will get the backfield. So it's interesting to see how they incorporate him into the offense. If they'll do what they usually do with Christian McCaffrey. See if Cam Newton can get out of this slump. He played really bad against the Dolphins. I think he will, but I also low-key am a Cam Newton meat rider. I'm not gonna lie, but I think that the Panthers are gonna bounce back, get this win in a very gritty defensive game. I don't really trust the Falcons' offense. I know Russell Gage has been going off and stepping up for Ridley being out, and Kyle Pitts is a dog. We already established this. But besides Cordell Patterson too. But besides them, I don't really know. I just don't have the faith in the Falcons' play calling really. I got the Panthers win this game 21-18. What about you, Shane?
See, I have it going a little bit differently. I think Kyle Pitts is gonna, destroy the Panthers' defense. The defense hasn't lived up to how they were playing the first couple weeks of the season, which was insanely good for the first 4 or 5 weeks. But I have the Falcons winning this game 28-24.
So let's get to our next game, which is an AFC North battle between the Baltimore Ravens, who are 8-4, and the Cleveland Browns, who are 6-6. And the Cleveland Browns are 2.5-point favorites here. So the Browns had a bye last week, but their last game was against the Ravens. So for the second time in 3 weeks, the Ravens are playing the Browns. Last time they played each other, it was a very, very ugly game. Final score was 16-10. Lamar Jackson definitely had the worst game of his career, throwing 4 picks. Baker Mayfield really didn't play too bad, 247 yards and a touchdown. But the main problem for the Cleveland Browns was they could not get the run game going. And that, as we've established, is the Browns' bread and butter. And Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb both played terribly. Kareem Hunt had 20 yards and Nick Chubb had 16 yards, which is just crazy. So I really feel like the question here for you, Shane, is do you think the Browns are going to adapt to the game plan after being stifled last time by the Ravens? And I'm not saying like to make a pass heavy game or whatever. I mean, like, do you think that the offensive line will be able to create the gaps for these two superstar running backs, or do you think the Ravens are going to shut them out again? Or what are your just thoughts on the Ravens or the Browns' approach to this game?
I think it's going to be a little bit of both. I think one of the running. I honestly think Nick Chubb is better than Kareem Hunt by a mile, but that's my personal opinion. I've obviously has seen Nick Chubb a lot more than a lot of fans has. I've seen more games of him. But I think they'll stop Kareem Hunt. I don't think they'll stop Nick Chubb. But I do think they will force, for most part of the game, the Browns to try to throw the ball. And I think that's where their weakness is. And it's not so much Baker Mayfield's fault. It's the fact that receivers can't really get open. They don't have Odell anymore, which, you can argue that made their team worse, better, whatever. I think it's going to be more focused on the Ravens. Can the Ravens offense get back on track rather than the Browns? Which I do think the Ravens will bounce back. Even though they won, I think they'll play a much better game this week. I have the Ravens winning this game 31-17.
And I got the Browns. I actually disagree. I think the Browns are going to need to win this game. And they've shown the potential that they're a good team. And I really feel like this is the game where the Browns finally get back on track and prove to some people that I'm not saying me, that they are a Super Bowl caliber team. I think the Browns are going to win this game 17-14. Another gritty, grinded out type of game.
And we move on to our next game, which will be the Seahawks, who are 4-8, versus the Texans, who are 2-10. The Texans are 8.5 points underdogs. The Seahawks are looking. This is a crazy stat to me. The Seahawks are looking to win their first game, or their first 2 games in a row for the first time this season. And they're facing the Texans, so there's a high chance on that. Coming into this year, Seahawks had some expectations to make, and they haven't made them, with Russ being out almost half the year so far. And their defense just hasn't lived up to what it was going to be. What are your thoughts on this game here, Will?
Yeah, so as I said earlier, this is the Seahawks' first game without Jamal Adams, who I think he's a very polarizing. There we go. Player, meaning he's very you either love him or you hate him. I think the casual football fans who get their news from TikTok and Twitter and Instagram meme pages think Jamal Adams sucks. But if you look at the numbers like I do, and if you look at his PFF grade like I do, because I'm an actual fan of football, you would realize that Jamal Adams isn't that bad. Is he worth what the Seahawks gave up to him? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But his PFF grade is a 60, which is putting him at average. So the main problem with people with Jamal Adams is they expect Jamal Adams to be like a safety, a typical safety. As like he's the last line of defense, blah, blah, blah. But that's not the type of safety Jamal Adams is. He's more of a safety linebacker hybrid, and that's nothing wrong with that. So I really feel like it'd be interesting to see how the Seahawks adapt to the change with Jamal Adams being out. We'll see if Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, and Russ can finally start clicking again. I know DK Metcalf had a touchdown, or maybe not. But regardless, Tyler Lockett did. I think that's who I'm mistaken for. Yeah, Tyler Lockett had a touchdown last game. Let's see if he can continue that hot streak. Let's see if DK Metcalf can get back on track. And it'll be interesting to see how the Seahawks finally adjust to their team. Adrian Peterson got a touchdown, which was pretty cool to see. He's a legend. And the Texans, as you said, Shane, we're gonna say?
No, that was my boy, AP.
Oh yeah, AP. It's one of Shane's favorite running backs. I went to Oklahoma though. He ain't go to Georgia, Shane.
Yeah.
But the Texans are just terrible. I mean, I don't really know what to say. Disgraceful organization. It's crazy though. If the Lions somehow get another win, I think they would be potentially be the number 1 overall pick. So it's interesting to see. They're just tanking right now. They're terrible. I can't believe they beat the Titans. But yeah, that's that. So I think the Seahawks are going to win 30-10. I think that, like I said, the Texans suck. And I think the Seahawks are finally going to start clicking with Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. What about you, Shane?
Yeah. I still think the Seahawks defense isn't that great at all. So I do think they'll give up some points, but I still think the Seahawks are going to win 21-14.
Let's get into our next game, which is an AFC West battle between the Las Vegas Raiders, who were 6-6, and the Kansas City Chiefs, who are 8-4, and the Chiefs are 9.5-point favorites on this one. So the Chiefs are looking for their 6th straight win. That is the second longest winning streak in football, obviously behind New England Patriots. Crazy to say that. It's kind of crazy that they lost the greatest quarterback of all time and they've rebuilt it in 1 year. So regardless, the Chiefs are on a roll after everyone was saying, "Oh, they're done, blah blah blah." All the people who were, thought the Chiefs were terrible, idiotic. More of the people who get their information from TikTok and Twitter and stuff. But regardless, they're back. They're clicking. Who cares? Patrick Mahomes had another pick. Most of his picks aren't his fault, though, if you've noticed. He has like 12, I think, maybe 11, 12. He has 12, which obviously isn't very good. But as I said, like most of his picks are not from his receivers, or not his fault. They're his receivers. And he hasn't really been playing too good recently. He hasn't thrown a touchdown since the last time he played the Raiders. He torched them for 5 touchdowns. That was 2 games ago. So he's kind of in a little bit of a slump, but it doesn't matter because the Chiefs are winning games. And why are they winning games, Shane? It's their defense, which is weird to think about, as we always have been scrutinizing their defense. Their defense is terrible, blah, 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 blah. But if you look at their last 4 games, the Chiefs have been really shutting out their opponents. They allowed the Dallas Cowboys to 9 points, and we've all talked about how good the Cowboys' offense is. The proof is in the pudding. We talked about how the Broncos are basically a QB away from having a really good team and a really good offense. They shut them out. The Raiders have a very bipolar offense. Some days it's really good, some days it's really bad. And then they played Jordan Love and the Packers, which really doesn't count, but still they only scored 7 points. So if you do the math, Shane, in their last 4 games, if you round up, the Chiefs have been allowing 10 points a game. That's outstanding. What more could you ask for, And if you flip the side to the Raiders, as I said, they're obviously or arguably the most bipolar team in football. Some days the Raiders look like a team that can make a playoff run, as they did with the Cowboys, and some days they look like a team that is worse than the Texans. And my thing is, the X factor for the Raiders is, will Darren Waller, their superstar tight end, play? I know he's been dealing with a knee issue. He's been week to week. If he plays, that'll be a big help for the Raiders. If he doesn't, then their hopes are definitely out the window. What are your thoughts on Shane between the Raiders and the Chiefs?
So I completely agree with your Patrick Mahomes statement. I think he has like I think he has 13, but I will say at least 8 of those interceptions came from his receivers dropping the ball, or tipping it and just not going to grab it, whatever you want to call it. So, but obviously casual football fans don't look at shit like that because they're dumb. Excuse me for the swearing, but it just annoys me. Patrick Mahomes is still, in my opinion, one of the top 3 QBs in the league right now. He's not going to win MVP this year. Obviously, that's going to go to someone else. But I think the Raiders have a very bright future. They just got to get all the bull crap within their organization out the window with Ruggs and, like firing coaches, all that. They need to stop all that. It's not professional. They need to focus on winning games and you can't focus on winning games if you're, going 160 miles per hour, killing people while being intoxicated. But, that's all old news. I don't think, even with Waller, I don't think the Raiders are going to win this game. I have the Chiefs winning 31-21.
I agree. Last time these two teams played each other, as I stated, Patrick Mahomes played definitely his best game of the season. And I think the Chiefs are going to win 35-17 in Arrowhead. And with this win, they would tie the Patriots for the number 1 seed in the AFC. 35-17 Chiefs.
Let's move on to our next game, which will be the Saints, who are 5-7 versus the Jets, who are 3-9. The Jets are 5.5-point underdogs. The Saints haven't lost 5 times in a row since I believe 2004, 2005. That's 16 years roughly. Obviously, with Winston being out, it kind of limits them to the QB status with Trevor and Taysom Hill. The Jets, they're playing. The Jets are playing a lot better than they have so far in the beginning of the year. Even though their record, obviously shows they've been, getting crapped on in all the year. But I think they're playing a lot better. What are your thoughts on the Saints and the Jets here, Will?
So my thing with this is, I think, like you said, Zach Wilson has been playing better. I won't say a lot better, but better. I know his stats are terrible, which they are. He's 6 for 11. But definitely his game against the not the Jets, my fault. The Eagles, sorry, was the best game of his rookie season so far, or one of the best. So I would say that's up there with the Tennessee game. So Zach Wilson has to stop throwing stupid passes, stop getting intercepted. I feel like he has potential, this kid. I really think that he has the promise to be the savior that the Jets need. He's a rookie, though, and not every rookie quarterback is going to be like Mac Jones. Not saying Mac Jones is the greatest, but like very pro-ready, very smart. Not every rookie quarterback is like that. Now, you flip the script to the Saints. As we said, their season was basically lost when Jameis Winston went down. That's no fault to anyone on the Saints organization. Like I said before, their defense is going to have to carry them to the playoffs. There's only so much their defense could do, though. As you know, since Taysom Hill, or not fault, since Jameis Winston went down, their defense has been pretty bad, and it's not looking good for the Saints in the long run. And they got a QB crisis up ahead. Do you think they'll re-sign Jameis Winston? Do you think they'll go the draft way? Do you think they sign another quarterback? Do they trade for a quarterback? There's a lot of questions. I mean, I think they should re-sign Jameis, as they were winning with him. And they actually, I think they were close to the NFC South lead, or they were tied, or with the Buccaneers. But regardless,
they were tied with the Bucs after they beat the Bucs, but they've lost ever since then.
Yeah, and I really feel like that's because Jameis Winston wasn't there. And Taysom Hill, I think it was a bad call on Sean Payton's part, not starting Taysom Hill from the get-go, as he knows the playbook, and he's a dynamic player. He's not really the best, but I think he's better than Trevor Siemian. So hopefully the Saints turn this around. They've lost 5 in a row. Hopefully they don't make it 6. And the Saints have not been this bad in a while. I think the Saints are going to win this game in a very slow pace, somewhat defensive game like the Browns game I mentioned. I think the Saints win against the Jets 17-10. What do you think, Shane?
I think the only reason the Saints win this game is because they're facing the Jets defense. I have the Saints winning in somewhat high-scoring game for the Saints, 27-13 Saints.
Let's go to this AFC South battle, which isn't really exciting. I'm not going to cap. We got the Jaguars, who are 2-10, against the Titans, who are 8-4. And the Titans are 8.5-point favorites. Now, the Titans are looking to snap their 2-game skid and remain with the AFC elite like the Patriots and the Chiefs. And supposedly, there's a rumor that Derrick Henry is coming back soon. His timetable for return was 6 to 10 weeks, which would most likely the Titans announced as he got hurt that he would most likely come back during their playoff push. This was established, and it's looking like it's going to be on the closer end of that 6 to 10 week timetable. As we all know, Derrick Henry had foot surgery. I don't think he broke his foot. I think he just somewhat tweaked it, but it needed surgery, and he's been out ever since like week 7 or 6, something like that. Week 8,
I believe.
So that's that. He like you said, he had that foot surgery, but he's supposedly on track to be coming back soon. Sorry, I keep on saying Jesus Christ, I never do that. But Derrick Henry is supposedly going to come back in early January if all goes well. That was like the original timetable, so that would probably put him back for like the end of the regular season, and it's looking like he's coming back soon, which is good. And the Titans got a lot of injuries. Julio Jones was out. A.J. Brown was out. What's his name? Derrick Henry. Jesus Christ with the ums. Holy shit. I'm getting pissed. Derrick Henry, Bud Dupree, free agent signing. And they've just been hit with a lot of injuries, and now it's looking like they're finally getting their workhorse back soon. My question to you, Shane, on this, I know it's a quite of a one-sided game, but how do you think the Titans need Derrick Henry to come back, or do you think they'll be fine to make the playoffs without him?
I think they can make the playoffs without him. They've shown they can win games without Derrick Henry. However, to go through the playoffs, to go through the Patriots, fortunately, Patriots are going to make the playoffs, everybody, yet again. They're going to have to get through that defense. They got to get through the Chiefs. They're going to have to get through one of these big teams, either the Chiefs, the Patriots, or even, I believe the Ravens are going to be one of those teams as well. Obviously, I think the Titans are one of those teams when they have Henry, when they have Brown, when they have Julio, and when their defense is on, a good pace. But I think they make it. I don't know the rest of their schedule, so I can't say with ease, with difficulty. But they will need Derrick Henry throughout the playoffs, though, in order to reach the Super Bowl and hopefully even win it, even though I don't want them to win. But we'll see.
So what's your prediction for this game, Shane? You got the Jaguars pulling off an upset or the Titans winning?
I have the Titans winning this game 24-10.
I also have the Titans winning this game. I think the Titans will beat the Jaguars again, 27-13, to finally snap their 2-game losing streak.
So up next we have the Cowboys, who are 8-4 versus Washington, who are 6-6. Washington are a 4.5-point underdog. The Dogs, wow, can't speak. These
can.
these rivals meet for the first time this year, and this is a big game. Even though it doesn't look like a big game compared to their record, but it is, both within their own division and with wild card, with top seeding, all that. Mike McCarthy guaranteed Dallas would win this game. What are your thoughts on that, Will?
Mike McCarthy's a dog. Nah, I'm messing. I was not really too high on Mike McCarthy being signed by the Cowboys, I'm not going to lie. But I really think he's turning out to be a pretty good coach for them. Obviously, like you said, this is the first time the Cowboys have met Washington this year. And this is, like I said, a big game for the NFC East title. If Washington wins this game, they'll be 1 game back on the Cowboys. As we said before, Washington is the 7th seed in the playoffs, so they're still hanging off to that playoff race. But I think this will be a very important game for both of these teams. I think the Cowboys will squeak it out, but I think this is one of the best games this week. And I got the Cowboys win this game 23-20. What about you, Shane?
Yeah, I have the Cowboys win this game as well. 30-21. I know I'm going to say something about Washington real quick before we move on to our next game, though. I know some people, including Will, aren't high on Taylor Heineke. I think he's a great player. I do think Washington's defense is the main reason they're in this position, though. Just Taylor Heinicke is doing what he needs to do. I mean, this man was a substitute teacher, I believe, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. So you got to give the man props for leading the Washington football team from nothing to a team that can make playoffs this year, and even last year. So I think Washington's going to be, one of those teams like the Broncos, the Raiders, teams that are on the come up. They just need certain things to go right. They need, more playmakers on defense, all that. But that's all I had to say about Washington.
So let's move on to the next game, which is sadly my New York Giants. The Giants, who are 4-8, meet the LA Chargers, who are 7-5, and the LA Chargers are 10-point favorites. Now, the thing with this game is the Chargers are looking to continue their playoff push against a bad Giants team. We suck. I admit it. Unlike the Steelers fans who still think they're good. So the question here is, who will start for quarterback for New York? Will it be Daniel Jones? Will it be Mike Glennon? Will it be Jake Fromm? I want Jake Fromm to be like, screw it, like put him in. Let's see what this kid can do. Shane, I know you want Jake Fromm to start. Do you think Jake Fromm would be good in the Giants' offense with Saquon Barkley and Kenny Galladay, or?
Yes, I think this is a perfect fit, and here's why. Saquon. Now, before I say this, before you get your panties in a bunch here, Will, I think Saquon Barkley is better than this player I'm about to name, and I think you know who I'm about to say. Saquon and Nick Chubb are two fairly similar backs. And if you remember, obviously you're not a big Georgia fan. You're a Michigan fan. By the way, Georgia will beat Michigan in their bowl game.
So cap. But all right.
We have a little rivalry going here, folks. But Nick Chubb was the main back in Georgia when Jake Fromm was there. They're a run-heavy team, and I think that's what the Giants need to do here, at least in this game. With Jake Fromm, he's a great quarterback. He's a game management type of quarterback, but he can also sling the ball as well. He's very, very smart. He has a very high IQ for a quarterback that hasn't played a down in the NFL, or at least the regular season, at least. I hope they put Jake Fromm in. I think he's better than Mike Glennon by a long run. And I think he can end up being better than Daniel Jones if he gets the reps that Daniel Jones get.
Hot take.
I'm not finished. He's a lot smarter than Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones is Daniel Jones is more talented, but I think Jake Fromm could be better, but we won't know because we won't know if he starts. I hope he does, but I think they'll be better off with Jake Fromm starting this game than Mike Glennon would be. But that's my take on it.
So what about the Chargers? As they beat the Bengals last week, they blew them out of the water too, and we didn't think that would happen. We thought Joe Mixon and the Bengals were gonna demolish them. So I think the Chargers are a really, really good team. I think their run defense is their Achilles heel. But do you think the Chargers have a chance to make a deep playoff run, or maybe next year? Or
I think next year is the more likely. If you look at teams this year in the AFC, look at the teams ahead of the Chargers. Look at what they do. The Patriots. What did they do against the Bills? They ran the ball 43 times, won the game, passed it 3 times. The Titans. Derrick Henry comes back. You know what they're going to do with Derrick Henry. The Ravens, they're a run. They're like a run spread offense. A lot of pistol formations. So they're going to be scared of the run in that game. Who else am I missing? The Chiefs. The Chiefs are really the only team with no run game. And even then, they got Patrick Mahomes. So, but in the past, Chargers has looked like they have Patrick Mahomes' number a little bit because I believe they've beaten Mahomes more than any other team has. Don't quote me on that, but
the Chargers?
Yes, I believe the Chargers have beaten Mahomes.
They did beat the Chargers this week or this year. They did.
No, I mean since Patrick Mahomes has came, I think. The Chargers are his Achilles heel, if you want to say. I think they've beaten him at least twice since he started, but that's not the point here. The point is, I don't think Chargers are going to go deep into the playoffs if they make the playoffs. But I do have them winning this game in a very close game, 20-19.
I got the Chargers winning this game too. A little bit more high scoring game. I just think we're terrible and it sucks. But regardless, I think the Chargers win this game 31-17.
So next we got. I honestly think this is going to be an interesting game just because of what happened last week. The Detroit Lions won a game last week. That is hysterical. Hysterical. We should just give them the Super Bowl trophy right now just because they won a game. I'm lying. That belongs to the Buccaneers. Anyways, the Lions, who are 1-10 and 1, face off against the Broncos, who are 6-6. Sorry for the fucking miscommunication. And the Broncos are 8.5-point favorites. The Lions won a game last week. Yeah. Woohoo! Lions won. Can they pull off another upset against the Broncos, who are a potential playoff team, and they're one of the best-looking teams for the future in the NFL? So my question here for you, Will, is was that just a one-and-done type of game for the Lions last week? And what are your thoughts on the Broncos and how they've played so far this year?
Now, let me just say, crazy that I'm saying this, but the Lions are 8-4 against the spread. So they cover the spread a lot when they play. But this week, I think they're going to break even. And I mean by that is I think they're going to keep it close, but I still don't think – I think the Lions aren't going to win this game. I can't believe they won last week. That is just crazy. They almost beat the Bears on Thanksgiving, but Matt Nagy saved his job with a field goal by Cario Santos. Now, the Lions remind me of Shaneson. Inconsistent.
Ha ha ha! I know what joke you're talking about here, and I don't think it's funny. Some people go 38 for 60. Some people go for 1-67. Will
69.
Oh, my bad. Something you've never experienced. Anyways,
let's keep it PG here, Shaneson. There's little Jimmies and little Johnnies listening to this podcast. All right, kids, don't look it up. All right. Anyway, back to football. Not anything else, Shaneson, you dirty dog. We're talking about football, American football. Jesus Christ. I always have to make something weird. Anyway, what were we talking about? Oh, yeah, the Lions. Yes. I can't believe they won. The Broncos, on the other hand, they played like trash last week, but like you said, Shane, they showed a glimpse into their future. Rookie running back Javonte Williams representing UNC. Great game. I love Javonte Williams, and I think that he is easily the Broncos' future. Now, regardless, I think the Broncos are going to win this game. Run-heavy attack, especially if Melvin Gordon comes back, but regardless if he doesn't, I love Javonte Williams. I think the Broncos win this game 24-14. What about you, Shane?
Yeah, I also have the Broncos winning this game. I have them winning 30-10. I think Teddy Bridgewater is gonna have a good game here today. They're obviously facing the Lions, but any given Sunday, as they always say, I guess.
Let's get into our next game, which is the San Francisco 49ers, who are 6-6, against the Cincinnati Bengals, who are 7-5. And the Cincinnati Bengals are 1.5-point underdogs here. And this is another going to be a great game. Shane, if I told you who leads the league in interceptions, would you believe it was Joe Burrow? Would you believe that?
No, not necessarily, no.
Wow. Shaneson is not a fan of the Bird Dog, huh?
He played for LSU, my guy. What can I say?
Yeah, I mean, he clapped Georgia. He clapped everyone's cheeks that one season. I'm not going to cap.
He really
everybody.
did.
I mean,
I took that beating. I took it with pride.
You said, "Oh, we're gonna clap LSU. Who's Joe Burrow?" And then you just see 60-0. You're like, ah. But regardless, this is both teams are clawing for a playoff spot as the race in both of their conferences tighten. Pause. The 49ers are the 6th seed in the NFC, I believe. And the Bengals are the 6th seed as well. I don't know where they stand with tiebreakers and stuff. I'm not really too sure. It's pretty confusing. But with the tiebreakers, the Bengals are the 6th seed, yes. So both of these teams are hanging out for dear life in their playoff races. And the question for me to you, Shane, is who will bounce back better after their losses last week? The 49ers lost to the Seahawks and the Bengals lost to the Chargers. Who's going to bounce back and why?
I would like to say one thing before I answer that question. We lost to LSU
Yeah.
37-10, not 16-0. But I believe the Bengals will bounce. I believe the Bengals will bounce back. I do like Joe Burrow, like his play style. Joe Mixon, obviously, he's a dog. Jamar Chase, he's a dog. And their defense is you can't say they're bad, you can't say they're great. They're okay. The 49ers, I don't really like the 49ers. I don't like how they still think Jimmy G is still a good QB. I think they need to put Trey Lance in there. But that's my opinion. I think the Bengals come out of this game winning in a close one though, 27-24.
So why do you hate Jimmy G?
I just don't think he's a good quarterback. I mean, the year they made the playoff run, I think there was a game he threw for like 8 passes. I mean, hey, if you know what works, run the ball. If it works, it works. But they signed him to a mega deal, I believe a year or 2 years right after, he left the Patriots. And he hasn't done anything. I don't think he's even been to a Pro Bowl since then. But, why would you spend all that money on a QB when you can spend it on a running back and make your running game even 10 times more better? But, that's my thoughts. I don't really like Jimmy G. I've never really liked Jimmy G. He just hasn't lived up to my hype. I'm not really a fan of him.
No, see, my dad's a big 49ers fan. He says he's the best quarterback since Steve Young, Jimmy G. My dad loves Jimmy G. He calls him Brother G with the sunglasses. And he would know more about him than you, Shane, because he's a 49ers fan and you're just a Jimmy G hater. But I think the Niners are going to take this win. Hopefully, Deebo Samuel comes back. George Kittle in the thumbnail is coming off of a monster game. He had like 2 touchdowns. He torched the Seahawks, and somehow they still lost. I don't really know how the Seahawks won that game. But regardless, I think the 49ers bounce back. They win a very close game, arguably one of the best games this week, 30-28, San Francisco. What about you, Shane?
I don't think they have a comeback this week. I have the Bengals winning 27-24.
Uh-oh, guys. Shane's about to talk about the Buccaneers. Run away! Run away!
All right, so quick little. Actually, I'll get into that after. So our next game will be the Buffalo Bills, who are 7-5, versus the Buccaneers, who are 9-3. The Buccaneers are 3.5-point favorites. Before I get into this game, let's. I'm gonna say a little short story here. Me and Will went Monday night. We went to the not to the game, but we went to Smoky Bones to watch the Bills-Patriots game. And when I tell you, I've never wanted to run across a bar because we were sitting at the bar eating food. I have never wanted to just go over there and slap the taste out of a Bills fan's mouth more in my life. They like Will doesn't like Steelers fans. He has hatred for Steelers fans. It's like my hatred now for Bills fans. I can't stand them. They are annoying, and they're hypocritical, and they're just stupid.
I thought that was geek though. I thought it was funny.
I just can't.
I was laughing all the time.
One second they were praising Josh Allen. Next second they wanted to throw their fucking alcohol at the TV because he didn't make a pass. But anyways,
I thought that real quick. The funniest part is Shane literally was slamming his head on the bar table. Was there was this one dude. He was drinking. He had shots. I saw the bartender making the shots, and I was like, oh Jesus Christ, this dude's about to get yoinked.
The bartender's hot as heck.
Shaneson, people, this is all on public media, dog. You can't be saying that, all right? Jesus Christ.
Never said her name. Anyways, continue, Will.
Anyways, yeah. So anyway, the bartender gets the shots going, and I just see this dude chug it. I was like, oh Jesus Christ! And then the next throw Josh Allen made, it was I forgot who was doing it. It was a dot. That was a really good throw. I swear to God, this dude like yells, "Alert! Alert! Laser! Laser!" like that. And Shane's over here like hitting his head on the table. I'm just over there dying. And I was like mocking the dude afterwards. I thought it was so geeked. That's your best friend right now, Shane. That drunk Bills
Yeah,
fan.
I got a few choice words. I hope he's there for this game because I'm going to this game with my sister because she's a Bills fan. Yawn. Anyways, back to the actual game. Tom Brady has only lost 3 times to the Buffalo Bills. They basically call him Daddy Brady down in Buffalo. Can the Bills turn it around? And if they do, or if they can, it needs to start now because about 3 weeks ago they were top 2 seed in the AFC. Now they don't even lead the AFC East as the Patriots do now. Obviously, my question for you here, Will, is if the Bills lose this game, um, will they make the playoffs if they lose this game?
Yeah. I mean, I think they will. I'm a big Bills guy. I think Josh Allen's great. I think their team is great. They just need to run the ball more, and I think that's their main weakness. And I feel like that Sean McDermott and co knows that, and they realize that they need to do that. Now they're still a top 5 scoring offense in the top 5 defense, so I'm not really worried about it. And plus, they play 3 teams that don't have a winning record. So essentially, I think the worst that the Bills do is go 10-7. Shaneson is now typing to someone and texting, so we'll wait. We'll wait, Shaneson.
You're all good.
I'll wait. When my hand goes up, your mouth goes shut.
Well, right? It sucks because I can't see you right now. So
my hand's not even up, so you're good. But regardless, I think the Bills are gonna at least win 10 games. I mean, they play the Jets, so I mean that's a guaranteed win. But regardless, I think the Bills turn around this game against Shane's Buccaneers.
Yawn!
Yeah, Shane's yawning. I mean, because Shane. I mean, so guys, if you didn't know, like Shane's a Buccaneers fan. If you couldn't tell, I mean, but Shane's like he thinks that the Buccaneers are like the best team since like the '85 Bears. Like he thinks these Buccaneers are the best team to come out of the NFL history. You know, he doesn't realize that Tom Brady is slower than like an hourglass in sand.
Hey,
he doesn't realize.
Listen. Brady had an 11-yard run and juked one of your linebackers out in that Giants game. I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, and they lost to a team with no name. Facts. Yeah. And then, so here's the thing. So besides this Bills game, the Buccaneers' schedule is literally like high school teams. Like they play the Jets and the Saints. And Shane's gonna tweet. He's gonna freak out and say, "Oh my God, we're gonna win! We're gonna clap their cheeks," which is like literally expected. Like if the Buccaneers don't win this game, then they're trash. But I mean, Daddy Brady, he's a dog. I mean, if you don't think Tom Brady's a dog, then you shouldn't be watching football. Like literally, that's a fact. If you don't think Tom Brady's good at football, then why are you watching the sport? Imagine you go out to someone, Shane, about football, and they're like, "Yeah, I really don't like Tom Brady. I don't think he's good." Like it's the people who think Tom Brady's a cheater. Like you're just
yawn. You sound like
here.
I'm not the biggest Tom Brady fan. Even though he plays for my team, I hated the fact that he took a couple Super Bowls from Peyton Manning because Peyton Manning is my favorite quarterback. Anyways, I think I'd slap that dude right in his face. But
he's the greatest quarterback of all time. All right, I mean it's you can't deny it. If you think otherwise, then you got a couple screws loose upstairs. I'm not gonna lie. But I think this will be a fun game, up there with the best games of the week. Fun shootout, great offensive game. I think the Bills are gonna pull off the upset, though. I got the Bills winning 35-31. What about you, Shane?
No, this is where I come to reality. It's all fun and jokes with Brady and the Bills and yada yada yada. I don't think, like you said, the Bills' weakness is their run game, 100%. They can't run the ball. And ironically, the Buccaneers, even though their defense hasn't lived up to the hype that it was like last year, they're starting to get it going like they did around this time last year. And their defense is getting a little bit better. But their run defense is still terrifying. Still number 1, I believe. And they're going to force Josh Allen to throw the ball. which, Josh Allen's a great QB, but I just think the Buccaneers offense is too powerful for Josh Allen and their offense to keep up with them. I have them winning in a somewhat close game. I have the Buccaneers winning 30-20.
Let's get into this next game, which is an NFC North yawn fest. Is the Chicago Bears, who are 4-8, the Bears, are going against the Green Bay Packers, who are 9-3, and this is the biggest spread differential. The Packers are 12.5-point favorites. Now,
Yeesh.
Justin Fields is finally back. Now, my question: will he make a difference? No. Let's be real. The Bears are probably like. I think that Alabama has a better offense than the Bears, right? This team's offense is literally like watching paint dry. It's so bad. Literally, like in fantasy, you could probably pick any team that's going against the Bears as a defense, and you'll be good. Like the Giants' offense is better than the Bears. This team averages 17 points a game. They rank last in passing yards, right? Okay, actually, funny I say that. I saw this thing. Also, what boggles my mind about the Bears is that they are going to have 3 primetime games. Who the hell wants to watch these guys on primetime? I sure as hell don't. I don't know people who want to watch the Bears. 4, actually. They had 4. Why? Why did the Bears have 4 primetime games? Why? But I saw this thing saying that offenses from the days where our great grandpappies watched to get football, literally I think I saw the best passing offense in the 40s was 195 yards a game, and the Bears are averaging 174 yards a game. So basically, the offenses of the 1940s have a better passing attack than the Chicago Bears do in 2021. What are your thoughts on that, Shane?
I think that's just embarrassing. That's embarrassing.
Shit, Shane, put you a QB, right?
Dude, listen, I play running back, and I'd run the ball better than their running backs do. So, you know what?
Hey, Montgomery's a dog, though. David Montgomery's a dog.
He is, but their offensive line isn't. But sign me, coach, sign me.
So, another question I have for you, Shane, is if the cards go right and the Pittsburgh Steelers win, which I hope they don't. If the Steelers win and the Packers win, they will clinch their 3rd straight NFC North title. Do you think the Packers clinch the NFC North this week, or are they going to have to wait a week?
It really. I think they. I don't think they do this week. I think the Vikings will beat the Steelers, obviously, but I think next week it'll happen. Obviously, it's going to happen. The Vikings, the Bears, the Lions aren't going to come back and beat the Packers, obviously. I think it'll happen next week. As far as the Bears goes, I think they need to rebuild their offensive repertoire. I think they need to find players to surround Justin Fields during the draft. I don't know. I don't even think they have a top 10 pick because I think they traded it.
No, I'm not the Giants. Sure. Yeah, we fleeced them.
Yeah, which is crazy because side note, there's 3 teams I believe with 2 first round picks within the first, I believe, 10 or 12 picks, which is insane.
Yeah. So
the Giants, the Jets, and I believe I don't know who's the 3rd team. I know the Giants and the Jets are 2 of them. Oh, the Eagles. I think it's the Eagles.
Yeah, the Eagles. I said it 2 times, Shane. Yawn, you couldn't hear me.
Yawn, I couldn't hear me.
Before the Eagles won 6-7, the Eagles literally 6 teams, 3 teams were the top 10 picks. I swear to God. The Eagles and the Giants and the Jets had 6 of the top 10 picks, which is crazy because the Eagles have the Dolphins pick, I think.
Yep.
I think. And then they have the Dolphins pick, and then the Jets have the Seahawks pick from the Jamal Adams trade, and the Giants have the Bears pick. And also, it doesn't help that the Bears lost Khalil Mack, but regardless, I think Aaron Rodgers said it himself. He owns the Bears, right? Aaron Rodgers to the Bears is like Brady to the Bills, literally. Aaron Rodgers has lost to the Bears 5 times, and I think the Packers are going to extend their streak of owning the Bears, 34-13. What about you, Shane?
I have a little bit more high scoring for the Packers. 38-10 Packers.
Last game, Shane. Good one.
Yep,
This could be a good one.
You're getting the week. Little spoiler alert. But we have our Monday night game, which will be the Rams, who are 8-4, versus the Cardinals, who are 10-2. The Cardinals are 2.5-point favorites. The Cardinals, I believe for the first time since 2011, so 10 years, they lead the NFC with the top seed, which is crazy. They're playing their first home game in about a month. This is a big game, big NFC West title implications. And a win for Arizona, pretty much, unless they like lose out and the Rams win out, this game is pretty much clinches the Arizona Cardinals for winning their division. I have two questions for you, Will. One, do you see the Rams making a run and taking the top spot in this division? And two, do you think well, it's one question pretty much now that I think about it. Or do you think the Cardinals walk away with this thing at the end of the season?
Now, the question, that's a good question. I think potentially the Rams could win the NFC West, but they won't be the top seed in the NFC. Now, if the Cardinals win the NFC West, I think they have a great chance of being the number one seed in the NFC. If that makes sense.
No, that makes sense.
Now, I think the Rams lost to the Cardinals 37-20 in LA. But the Cardinals have been road warriors, and it's kind of weird to think that two of the top teams in each division have not lost on the road. The Cardinals are undefeated on the road, and so are the Patriots, which is kind of weird to think. And it's looking like the Cardinals have a good chance to be undefeated on the road as they play the Lions and the Cowboys. But regardless, this is going to be a great game. You got two high-power offenses, which, 95% of people who watch football, unless you're an old head, love watching offenses nowadays. Both teams got good defenses, too. The Cardinals average 29 points a game, which is third, and they allow 19 points a game, which is fourth. Now, you flip the script to the Rams. I've been high on the Rams ever since they traded for Matthew Stafford, as you guys know. I think they're slightly a little bit on the overrated side, but not crazy overrated that some people think. The Rams, on the other hand, are 28 points allowed, which is tied for fifth. So we got two top five offenses, and their defense is literally right in the middle of the road at 16. They average about 23 points against them. That's going to be key for the Rams. Can their defense finally step it up? I know they traded for Von Miller. They're going all in to win a title this year. They traded for Matthew Stafford to begin the season. OBJ. Oh, not OBJ. They signed him. My fault. They signed OBJ. He was a free agent. But my point is, they got a lot of cards. They got a lot of money, basically, literally money on this year. This has to be the year for the Rams. And they got the talent. They just got to execute. I think the Rams, on paper, are the best team in the NFL. That might be a hot take, but if you look at it on paper, I'm not saying they are, but you look at it from who they have, their team as a whole, their coaching, the players, everything, the Rams are the best team in the NFL. And I think they prove it to the world that they have a chance to win the NFC West. Besides this game, they only have one really tough game, which is a road game against the Ravens, the Rams. Flip the script to the Cardinals. Their toughest game up ahead is at the Cowboys. So both of these teams have really one tough game. It's going to be close, man. I mean, the Rams could win this game and still not win the NFC West, you know what I'm saying, because they'd still be a game behind. But this will be a fun game to watch. Stay on the lookout. The Cooper Kupp and starting running back for the Rams, Darrell Henderson, are both questionable with injuries. Cooper Kupp has a toe injury. Darrell Henderson has a thigh injury. And also, real quick before we get our scores, and I'll have you say your final thoughts, Shane, is that Kyler Murray looked great in his first game back. I know he only threw for 123 yards. He didn't really need to do much, honestly, against the Bears. But he threw for 2 touchdowns, and he ran for 2 touchdowns. And there's a reason why he's on the thumbnail. He played great. He had a good fantasy performance. And like I said, he played great. So I think the Cardinals are going to lose this game in a very close game. Very close game. I got the Rams win this game 28-26. What about you, Shane?
I got I think it's gonna be a very close game as well. However, I think the Cardinals, I think their defense steps up. I just don't. The Rams haven't proven anything to me ever since they got Von Miller. They don't look. They should be a dominant defense with Donald, with Ramsey, with Miller. Um, and the rest of that, that secondary is still very well as well. Not Ramsey status, but still. I have the Cardinals winning this game. I think D Hop is gonna moss Ramsey all over the place. I have the Cardinals winning 24-21.
Let's go into each of our game of the weeks, go into our picks record, and wrap everything up. My game of the week is the Rams and the Cardinals that I just went to in depth. I won't really say much more. It's a big NFC West title, a big NFC West game, big playoff game, potential NFC title game preview. It's just overall going to be a great game, and what a way to end the week. Save the best for last. Rams and Cardinals. Wow. What about you, Shane? What's your game of the week?
My game of the week is the Bills versus the Bucks. Obviously, the Bills need to win this game to stay as one of the top teams in the AFC. The Bucks need to win this game to prove they can. They've proven it this year, in my opinion. No bias here, that they are a deep playoff team. But beating the Bills will only cement that statement even more. And I just think it's a big game overall. A very underrated game just because the Bills have fallen down just the last couple of weeks a little bit. But in the beginning of the year, this was the number one. I believe it was like the first or the second most likely Super Bowl matchup to happen. So, and it still could be. So who knows? We'll see. But I think it's a big game overall.
Let's go into our picks record. Me and Shane mostly picked the same games last week, besides one, so we're not really changing that much. Shane, I'm 44-43, and Shane is 46-41. So that is that, guys. This concludes Week 14 of the Gridiron Talk podcast. Thank you guys so much for tuning into it this week and every week. This week, my other podcast on the Raiders has taken a 1 week break as he's very busy, but next week it'll be back. So stay tuned for that if you guys follow that. It would really mean the world to me if you subscribe to that. Subscribe to this channel as well. Me and Shane put a lot of effort into this podcast, and we love doing this. Without you guys, we really wouldn't be doing this. So we really appreciate all the love and support we do get from you guys in the comments below, by liking, by sharing, all of the whole 9 yards. And Shane, you have anything else to say?
No, just stay safe. I make my trip down the Florida next week, so I will not be here in New York. I'll be in the beautiful sunshine area of Jacksonville. But I will be back, hopefully, if I come back here and I don't receive a call, which I hope I do, obviously. But yeah, I hope everybody stays safe. It's getting close to Christmas, so be nice to everybody, whether it's your mother, your father, your crackhead down the street. Be nice to everybody. It's Christmas time. I know New York is not really looking like Christmas because there's barely 5 inches of snow outside, but just stay safe.
Yeah, and also Florida thotties and baddies beware, because the Ryder Rocket is making this trip down to Jacksonville, right, Shane?
Yes. But I may Lexi's down there, so we'll get into that later when we're not recording here. But
shout out Sister Gates, Shane's bestie. Shout out Sister Gates, right, Shane?
Shout out to Sister
You
Gates.
can shout her out if you want to, man.
D1 track star, by the way. She's phenomenal.
That's a fact. Like, he's not even capping. Like, he's actually came to the stack.
She's D1 star. So but yeah, I hope everybody has a great weekend. There's a lot of underrated games this week that you can watch. Obviously the Rams, the Cardinals, the Bills, Bucks. There's gonna be good games this week. Can't wait to watch them. Before I go.
Oh, and also, I know we're not really on the college football podcast, but the classic Army-Navy game is this weekend, the final college football regular season game. Stay tuned for it tomorrow, or Saturday, my fault, Tuesday, Saturday. And if you want to see some old school football, well, I'm talking like old school, watch that game, guys. I know we don't really talk about college football a lot. We kind of make references here and there, but this is definitely the oldest school of football that is still traditional. Army and Navy both have popularized the read option. Yes, if you ever wonder, why is this popular? It's Army and Navy. They use the read option, the triple option, the shovel option, the pass option this, option that. And if you had a guess, Shane, how many times their quarterbacks have thrown the ball all year? Guess.
I do have a guess, and I know it's very accurate. So, I watched the Notre Dame Army game. I think they faced Army. And
Navy,
up to
they
that
played
game,
Navy.
that was about week 5, week 6.
Oh, Army. Yeah, right.
The quarterback, the quarterback for Army, has threw the ball up until that point about 30. I think it was 38 times. So roughly, I don't know how close it is. I'm guessing about 67 times he's thrown the ball this year.
You are wrong, Shaneson. The Army quarterback. Also, real quick, shout out to all these guys performing in this game. You know, they're all servicemen, and that's just awesome. You know, they're serving our country, which is awesome. So again, shout out to every Army and Navy guy who will be participating this year in the game, and shout out to all the armed forces. But regardless, Anderson, who is the Army quarterback, has thrown the ball 44 times.
Yeah, see, I was
And
somewhat close.
The Navy quarterback, Lavate, I guess that's right, has thrown it 55 times. That's how much some quarterbacks throw in one game. But regardless, guys, stay tuned for that game. If you're a big football fan, you want to watch some old school smash mouth football, check that out. Take it easy, guys. Have a great weekend. Have a good day, or have a good rest of your day, and stay tuned for next episode of the podcast. Once again, shout out Joey for making the thumbnail for us, guys. And take it easy, guys. Have a good weekend. See you guys.